Hey there, welcome to 𝗟𝗶𝘁 West 2025. I am here with Jackie Bowen. She's the Executive Director of the Clean Label Project. Thank you for taking the time to hang out with me today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Thanks for visiting.
So could you first talk about how it began? What prompted the creation of the Clean Label Project?
When you're talking about the food safety regulatory fabric in America, we're focused on microbial and pathogen contaminants, E. coli, salmonella, listeria. But what's interesting is that when you watch mainstream media, the news, your social media feeds, what we see is that consumers are increasingly concerned about the food they eat, the consumer products they use, and rightfully so. You see headlines like levels of heavy metals in America's top-selling baby foods, levels of glyphosate, the active ingredient in Roundup in America's best-selling breakfast cereals, beer and wine, levels of BPA, BPS, phthalates with known links to endocrine disruption, infertility, leaching from product packaging into finished products. But the kicker is that this is over and above what's required as part of federal regulation. So for Clean Label Project, it's about looking and bridging the divide between the court of law and the court of public opinion. What is it that consumers care about most when it comes to food and consumer product safety?
And could you walk us through a high-level overview of the certification process and some of those key standards?
For us at Clean Label Project, simulating that consumer shopping experience is first and foremost. That's what's so paramount to us. So it's one where I think that's really unique when it comes to Clean Label Project. We actually go to the store, purchase products just like any consumer would. Brick and mortar retailers, brand websites, we purchase the products and then we take them, instead of taking them home, putting them in the medicine cabinet, the pantry, the refrigerator, we take them to accredited analytical chemistry labs where we have them tested for things like heavy metals, pesticide residues, packaging migration issues, and they have to meet Clean Label Project strict standards in order to be certified. For us, it's not about the paperwork, which is typically how the certification process works. For us, it's that random sampling and testing at retail to really simulate the consumer shopping experience.
So in your opinion, what does Clean Label mean in 2025? You have a lot of greenwashing out there. You've got a lot of companies that are trying to jump into the clean movement, but may not be Clean Label. You know, they don't have your certification. So what does Clean Label mean to you in 2025?
It's such a good point. Let's be honest, marketing departments can do a really effective job at selling comfort and security. So for Clean Label Project, in data and science we trust. It's all about the testing, analytical chemistry testing to reveal the true contents of what's inside. Let's be honest, when we're talking about industrial and environmental contaminants and toxins, these aren't ingredients. You would never find them on a product label. But nevertheless, they absolutely play a pivotal role in long-term health and wellness. And we see certain categories, health and wellness, infant and maternal health, these very emotive categories being so compelled and interested because of its potential impacts on long-term health and wellness. So today, when we're talking about Clean Label Project, or rather just Clean Label and the overall trends, you absolutely, as you walk around 𝗟𝗶𝘁 West, you see a lot of really important efforts around, not using artificial colors, ingredients, different types of preservatives, and all of that is so important. But what you're also seeing is this growing awareness and consumer awareness that next frontier of food safety is food toxicology. It's not just about more of the good stuff, it's less of the bad stuff.
And what can brands do to position themselves to be in a good place to join the Clean Label movement?
So when it comes to joining the whole Clean Label movement, I think the big thing is recognizing that consumers, especially moms, are those new arbiters of truth and safety. They are the ones that ultimately determine what's going to end up on the dinner table at night. And so it's a matter of giving peace of mind, recognizing it's not just about meeting minimum federal regulations. Those are table stakes. It's the minimum you need to do to legally sell product. The true north is about watching consumer trends. What are consumers talking about? What are influencers talking about? What are these new hot documentaries talking about that the future of food? That's what's motivating consumers and increasing kind of like retailer interest too, because this is what consumers are talking about.
So we've seen the consumer traditionally starting to trade down to those cheaper alternatives, those private label products. In what categories do you see consumers trading up to those Clean Label products?
Two categories. First, infant formula, baby food. World Health Organization says that the first 1,000 days of life are critically important to long-term health and wellness, and that window of opportunity for optimum brain and immune system development. So what we see is that parents are especially very concerned about making sure that those very early formative years, that they're only giving the best to baby. And at the same time, as we walk here around 𝗟𝗶𝘁 West, so much focus on health and wellness, dietary supplements, and we see that come through in when it comes to Clean Label Project certified brands as well. You look at it as so many people are looking trying to bulk up, slim down. So many people are reaching for weight loss alternatives. And so they want to do things to increase their muscle mass. Protein powders, different dietary supplements, collagens, all of those are the categories that are most compelled and interested. So yeah, it's fascinating walk around, and it's very inspiring to see so many brands that are recognizing that consumers are the true north when it comes to figuring out what we need to think about when it comes to clean label.
So could you tell us a little bit about your product and why the Clean Label Project certification is so important to you?
Yes, so I think we've recently seen in the protein category study that 47% of America's best-selling protein powders contain heavy metals above 𝗂𝗶𝗶 65. And at 𝗟𝗃 means pure origin. We've been trying to create products that is clean based on data. That means in the back of every single pack, there's actually a QR code where you can scan and find the test results for yourself. So you know exactly what's in your protein shake, your smoothie, so you do not get any side effects, side contaminants that you don't want.
And could you tell us about the transparency promise, or the transparency pledge, is it?
Exactly. It's a transparency promise, a certification we've done through the Clean Label Project, because in the past we were actually doing all these lab testing ourselves, working with different labs, trying to gather it, just posting lab reports on our website. But we really wanted like a third party, a credible third party, to do this testing for us and upload it so that consumers, they can have certainty of what they're getting. And also, so in an institution like the Clean Label Project, they can validate and say, okay, in protein we need to test for X, Y, Z, because they have so much data, so we're not just greenwashing and testing a lot of things, but we're actually testing for the things in risk of contamination.
And how important do you think it is now in 2025 for the consumer to see that certification on and that transparency promise on your product? How do you think that sets you apart from other products?
I think it's definitely something that's growing. I think when we started out in 2009, and people had no idea that there would let be heavy metals in fish or in our fish oil or contamination in protein powders. So fast forward to today, we're seeing a lot more educated consumers, but I sincerely believe we're still maybe only 5% of the way in terms of getting the understanding out there on what do I actually need to test for and what do I need to be aware of. And I think when we see a study that represents 83% of America's best-selling protein powders, where 47% of them, like half, like flipping a coin, has above safety limits set for heavy metals, I think we need to do something. And that's why we think it's so important to do not just the Clean Label Project certification, but taking it one step further. And we would love other brands to go the same way and do the transparency certification. That's what we've seen in baby food, because we've had this same issue in baby food, and now we finally have regulatory requirements that you should actually have heavy metal report on your baby food products. That's our goal. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your insights today.